store, and it's a business decision. I mean, we're selling the city every way we can to get them there, but ultimately it's going to be a business decision on whether or not we can get a grocery store on the east side. We are actively trying and doing everything we can.
Yeah, I have called every grocery store chain that I could think of in Northwest Ohio, big, small, local chain. And some have expressed some interest, but no hard commitments at this time.
Try to get Bobby Weezy Shop to come to the east side.
Right. And I think there are
Steve says I just can't find enough employees to work over there. So
well, and I think the housing. You know, we just kind of talked about 3 different housing projects. Of the 4 are on the east side.
Yes.
And businesses go where people go, where people are investing. And so I really think our key over the next couple of years to trying to get a grocery store back to the east side is this housing. If we could just flood a lot of the housing over to the east side, it's a different approach. I think through zoning and permitting, maybe the city tried to steer businesses that way. I think our approach is a little bit different since we know people drive businesses. If we could put people on the east side and new housing on the east side, maybe that leads to some business growth. And so,
we'll see it.
So we'll see.
Yeah,
and Mayor, I agree with the mayor's optimism that I think we'll see it. It may not be in as timely of a fashion as we want, but I think with the continued development that we're already experiencing, I think we're gonna see it. I think we're gonna see a grocery store on the east side.
Yeah, I mean, as we segue into downtown Fremont, and we talk about downtown, and we talk about the commercial stores and all of those things, I think, downtown Fremont is, I mean, it's just absolutely thriving. As a mayor in the city, we can't be more thankful for the business owners in downtown. We can't be more thankful for the work, the efforts that are being done by Christy Bilger in downtown Fremont. The city is a very, very, very strong partner. In fact, I'm supposed to be at a meeting right now at 3 o'clock to talk about our New Year's Eve celebration. That's going to be coming off. The city is a strong partner in that. We've started that. And there's a lot happening, which is why Christy can't be here today to talk about some of the things that are happening in downtown. Bob, you describe downtown. I always like to hear you describe downtown. From the last couple of years of where we're at. And I remember when I first started, and there was a piece of paper on my desk to be signed to basically declare the Garrison building a nuisance, to have that tore down. Could you imagine? No what if I would have signed that paper and we would have tore that down? Where would we not be at today, right? I mean, to look at the restaurant and everything that's been put in down there. So go ahead and you can talk about downtown.
So
you're on the downtown Fremont.
So I'm on the board for downtown, and maybe you can see the pictures. There's 2 pictures. The mayor referenced it. This is a picture of the Garrison 5 years ago. And that was scheduled to be demoed. And then here is the old department store. It's been several different department stores. And now it's GL Cap. And so just 5 years ago, I'm going to take credit for it. I think other people stole it from me. But in 2012, 2013, I started it with Fremont City Council in 2013. And I got appointed to this board. And I thought, man, it's kind of dead area. You can see tumbleweed blow through downtown. Why would anybody invest down here? And with effort and a vision, here we are 5 years later, and it's really an exciting place to be. A lot of activities, new options, new restaurants in downtown. And so here are those 2 buildings today. So quite the drastic change in 5 years. So when you have a plan and a vision and you're able to execute it, good things happen. And so 2 older buildings, salvaged, repaired, and are really beautiful buildings in our community.
As we talk about those, Bob really led Bob and I was having a conversation one day. We were talking about the DORA, and we had seen that the other communities had DORA. And I said, Bob, we're just going to get this done. He's like, well, what do you want me to do? And I said, let's get the DORA done. So Bob and Nikki and Amanda and Ken and you guys, I mean, you worked hard to get that DORA done. You had to submit a lot of paperwork through the state, and we had a lot of public meetings and try to get as much public feedback as we can. But just think about that, right? We got the DORA passed. We got these new we retained the jobs with GelCap, formerly known as WSOS. Ruth Ann's been absolutely amazing to work with downtown. Our business owners have been great to work with. We have more events in the city. than they've ever had in the city. Listen, we can talk until I'm red in the face now, but until we're blue in the face. I mean, we are just so excited about all the positive momentum in the city. We just tore down the Jackson Annex last year. That sat there vacant for over 30 years from a fire. We tore that down. Our parks, we've done a lot in our parks, and I know we probably got more slides to get through here, but I know you're going to talk about the amphitheater, right? Go ahead, let's talk about the amphitheater.
So we'll move on to the amphitheater, and you may have seen it in the News Messenger just 2 weeks ago. The city is partnering with the Rotary Club and to help raise funds and execute a downtown amphitheater. We worked with a group to get some artist renderings of what it could look like, and there are a couple of those images here. Nice. You might see these things around town. The Fremont Rotary Club, putting little brochures together. 2 projects, 1 goal. The one being down at the River Cliff, County Parks Department, and then the downtown amphitheater. And so we know that this was, when we took that building down, this was our plan. Have an amphitheater inside Dora, kind of centrally located in our community. And so this is similar to downtown. People had a vision and a plan 5 years ago, and you see the results of that. This is similar. We have a vision and a plan, and we're maybe a third of the way of executing our plan and raising money and applying for grants and getting in the downtown amphitheater green space available in our community.
To utilize that space downtown. It's interesting. We read an article about, I think when I first got in office, from John Damshorter came to a council meeting, and he talked about what could Fremont be. And he talked about the different things, if Fremont would do this or if Fremont would do that, including we have an opportunity 5 years from now to recognize Charles Woodson, who's probably going to be a first ballot Hall of Famer. And if Fremont grabs these opportunities, Fremont could become a destination city. And I'll never forget that gentleman from that article he wrote. And he just wrote an article in a paper just recently and basically said, Fremont's capitalizing off of these things. Fremont's on the verge of
the renaissance of Fremont.
The renaissance of Fremont. Fremont is on its way, or is a destination city. And he believes, and I believe. I haven't communicated with him recently, but it's interesting. Same goal. I believe this amphitheater is going to change the city of Fremont long term. With the amphitheater downtown, Sonny. Imagine the amphitheater downtown.
All the things that can be there.
All that could be there with the whole walkability access, with the kayaking and canoeing down the river and highlighting the river and the Hay Center and everything that I remember at one point in time, I said, man, what do you tell somebody and what to do when they come to Fremont? We can send them out to eat. We can send them out for activities. We can send them to the park. You need more than a weekend to be here now, I think. So we're
to that point,
we're getting there. We're not there yet, but we're getting there.
So when we talk about investments in downtown, Burchard Public Library, you saw the fence go up and you see equipment moving in. A lot of activity getting underway at Burchard Public Library, and we can't thank them and their board enough for their investment into the library and the city. And just here are some of the numbers. $6.17 million expansion, 4,200 square feet, and it's going to include tech rooms, tutoring rooms, new children's areas. I have been educated on public libraries because I really, since I was a student in college, I haven't visited public libraries, and so I always had this old vision of, well, libraries are you check out a book and you sit down and read, and they are really becoming more than that. There's a technology component, there's an education component, and it is just becoming one of those community venues where it's more than just grabbing a book and sitting down and reading for hours, and then they offer a lot more activities. So
if you haven't been to the library lately, get over there and check it out.
It's beautiful. Already it's beautiful.
And it's just nice for the collaboration aspect of it. The city was able to vacate that street to make that project happen. I was on the school board back in whatever year that was when we voted to give that piece of land to the library, and I was questioning, well, why did you do that, and why did they make that decision? And I think we're going to see now in a year or two here as this why that decision was made back then.
So one of our chapters in the book is health and wellness, and that's where we kind of put our parks chapter under health and wellness. And as many of you might remember, we want to thank the local Kiwanis and their efforts for the all-inclusive play park that just had the grand opening a few weeks for.
Beautiful.
That was a project, these projects don't happen overnight and they don't happen on their own. There's dedicated people who stand up and say, hey, I'll lead the charge and I'll help you lead the charge. And you get these committees put together and you have monthly meetings and you put plans together for fundraisers or plans together for architecture and renderings. And so this project was at least 3, if not 4 years in the making by our local Kiwanis. And they took on the task of applying for grants, organizing it, driving this. And so, and they've done that all for the community of Fremont because they want to give back and they understand the importance of having those things for the youth in our community.
I think even with that project, one of the things Bob's not sharing, so I'm gonna share this. I think this is a little bit of his humbleness, but when I got in office, one of the things that I recommended to our department heads was to join a civic organization because I wanted my administration to be involved in the community. Well, Bob joined the Kiwanis.
Yes, yeah.
So Bob's vice president of the Kiwanis, gonna be the president of the Kiwanis here coming up. And Bob and he really worked really close with Jody and the team over there, Mike J, and all the members over there that were really involved in this process. And there was, I don't want to miss anyone out, but there were a great group of people, Tom Ballas and many others. And the city, in fact, that year we applied for capital improvement funding, and I made the decision when we applied for those dollars went towards this project because Kiwanis was doing a lot of the heavy lifting. So I felt on behalf of the city, we should do our part to help contribute, and Bob, how much was that grant? I can't remember. Do you remember?
$150.
So the city contributed $150,000 of our grant dollars towards that and our engineering services and our employees. So it was just a great community effort. We couldn't have done this without the Kiwanis group. And I'm sure they would say they couldn't have done it without the cooperation of everyone else. So it was actually an emotional day that we did that when we cut the ribbon for that. We are still looking at doing other things down there at the park.
A lot of opportunities down there.
Yeah, there's a lot of opportunities. I'm going to say this for the first time publicly, but I'm looking at a splash pad down at Roger Young Park.
Oh yeah, I can see that.
I have a vision of, here's my vision with that all-inclusive playground and connecting a splash pad next to that. Could you, Sonny, as you look through the map here, we're putting in 2 new ball diamonds.
Yes.
Our goal, when we talk about economic development, is to attract people to our community, and that includes tourism. So I've challenged our rec department. We're going to be hosting, you're going to see 2 new baseball diamonds down there. So just at Roger Young Park, we've replaced a basketball court, we've redone a tennis court, the all-inclusive playground, we've had new restroom facilities, new shelter house, new dugout covers, and then we're going to have 2 new diamonds, and then start planning for that splash pad. 80 to 90, I think it was, I don't have the numbers in this PowerPoint, but 90% of these projects are all grant funded from state capital dollars on grants that the city wasn't previously applying for.
Wow.
So we've had to use some matching dollars here, out of our general fund, but a majority of these projects have all been grant funded. I'd love to take credit for all of it, but it's been my administration, my staff, Amanda Sears, Bob Gross, Tucker, our engineer, and just Cody, all of us working together to have a vision. So this is our big vision, but Cody at the rec department has his vision as a rec director. And Roger Young Park isn't the only park that we're investing in. We made some, I describe it as much needed changes on the east side park there, or on the east side of town there, on Ozzie Roush Park there in the Second Street Hill Park. We had a lot of upgrades over there this year, and we're doing everything we can to apply
a lot
for
of improvements
those.
over at the rec center itself, the new floor.
With the new floor, over at Burchard Park, we're working now with Vanguard. I'm working with Vanguard and Lowe's to build to clean up the tennis courts over there, and we want to build a new shelter over the old tennis courts, and put some concrete cornhole boards in over there, and with a new outside grill, and try to get some more use over at Burchard Park too. So
that's what people like, coming from other towns. These parks like this, they're gonna come.
they want to be able to
They're
stop and
gonna
enjoy
come
themselves, right?
Gonna come to Fremont and they're like, hey, now we can eat here downtown, or we can
Yeah.
eat somewhere locally. Or,
So on one of the things, just from the public standpoint, that's been brought to my attention was, well, what are you going to do about some of the problems down there? You know, there's been some problems down there with some of the kids maybe acting out or some
Right,
things
right,
like
right.
that. So I just want to touch on that just real quick as we go through the goal summary here. But we have an excellent school resource officer, Stacy Robinson. I have made that position a hybrid position, so it's a SRO, school resource officer / CRO, community resource officer.
okay.
So this summer, she's going to be working with our rec staff, and they're going to be putting together a plan on what I would describe as proactive community policing. So I want community engagement down at the parks down there from our community resource officer and our rec staff. We don't want to run the kids out of our parks, right?
Right.
That's
You don't
not our
say, hey,
goal.
get out of here. And,
We don't want that. We want our kids in our
Yeah.
parks, but we want our parks to be respected. So in order for that to happen, we need to make sure that we provide a positive environment and we have adult supervision down there. And we don't allow some of the negative things. We know things are going to happen, but we want to be as proactive. Our police department, we have 4 new officers going through training on the bike patrol.
Okay.
So I want more of a bike patrol presence in the community from our police officers, more of a public engagement side of things. So for the bike trail and for the parks, that way we see some of our officers more. I want more community involvement from the police department. And our fire department, I've encouraged them to get down at the parks and do some programs. So you're going to see some more of that stuff. You've noticed that a little bit over the past, but I still want to keep that up. We're coming out of COVID, and I want to get back to some of those other things that we've kind of been working on. So go ahead, Bob. Back to you. I think.
No, I think we're near the end. Here's a couple brief. They're ones we've already talked about. I know we're coming up on an hour here. Really, I just want to get to this last slide and say thank you to the community. I really do feel like when we come into work every day, we're doing things to make Fremont better on behalf of the citizens and residents of Fremont, and we've hopefully tried to tackle some of the bigger issues. The one thing we talked about is in industrial space, and so that is really what we talk about. I use the phrase, and I've heard it from that shovel-ready space. We have manufacturers here who have mentioned wanting new buildings because they're in older buildings, and always being ready for the next opportunity is a large part of that. And so, but because of the efforts that, partnerships, it's just we are in groups all the time, and I feel like kind of getting our community all heading in the same direction, one direction, a city that works with your county and, is vital.
And state officials, really.
And state officials. And so, we come in here and, I feel like it's some days a fight every day to make Fremont just that much better. So, and there's things we can't talk about in here, but I'm really excited about the spring of 22. I think there are some big announcements coming in the spring of 22.
Yeah, no, I agree. It's a few days before Thanksgiving.
Here we are. Man.
Here we
Flew
are.
by.
Yeah. Every day on Facebook, I see the positive messages that Sonny puts out, to try to, empower or encourage. And although there's days that are tough, I think really we have a lot to be thankful for here in the city of Fremont. There's a lot of positive momentum,
There is.
and just when we think like, man, there's always something coming up, right? There's never a day that I come to work I worry about if I have something to do. In fact, I had these 3 days off of work. Monday, I was going to take off a few days before Thanksgiving. From Monday morning until Tuesday afternoon, I barely got out for lunch today. So we were really excited to do this, Sonny, to get this out.
That's what I like about, the city council members we have. For the most part, they're all very approachable. And you guys are approachable. I thought, hey, man, wonder if they would get down and sit down and talk about this Think Fremont. And you guys were very open to it. And so thank you guys for allowing me to come in and talk about it. And hopefully we get some other people, let them have some knowledge of what's going on. A lot of times, like you say, they don't come to the city council meetings or view them. And this gives them an opportunity to maybe hear a different outlet.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And our phone number is 419-334-5900. Most of you know how to get a hold of us, at least know how to get a hold of me through the social media outlets and things that we have, right? So we really do the best job we can to make ourselves available. And I would encourage you to go on to FremontOhio.org and look at the Think Fremont plan. If you read it, if you have suggestions or recommendations, give us a call.
Yeah.
That's
the problem. A lot of people, they have some ideas themselves, and they leave it to themselves, or they use it to social media, and instead of just communicating to your council member or you guys.
Exactly. Talk to your city council members. Call us. It's hard to respond to every Facebook message that we get.
Yeah.
It's not
You don't
that
wanna
we're
be on
ignoring
social
you.
media all the time, and
It's challenging, and Sonny, you do a lot, with your job and trying to get out, and I'm sure you have experienced some of that stuff. It's just tough sometimes.
it's tough sometimes. Yeah.
But we're gonna keep on keeping on here, and we all love Fremont like Jaybird J. Cullen.
That's
so
right. That's right.
If I think Bob's getting enough brownie points on Friday mornings with donuts.
Donuts.
Donut Friday.
He's Bob's lost his sock phase. I don't think he's had a new pair of socks in a while. Sonny,
that's
It's
true.
a Christmas idea.
It's
So,
not true.
he hasn't been showing his socks.
I need to
off,
step
so.
up my sock game.
Yeah.
So. Well, good, Sonny. I think
right.
that's all.
All right. Thanks a lot for you guys for your time.
Yeah, thank you, Sonny.
Uh-huh.
Thank you,
Bye.
son. See ya.